Paul in Woodinville, Washington. Hey, Paul, what's on your mind today?
Well, Tom, I'm thinking if the media can get Donald Trump elected president, then really, Tom, our country's already been overthrown.
That was kind of my point, that this really, I mean, this all came out of the Reagan Revolution, and yeah, here we are.
Well, there's some conflicting, you were reading an article, but there are some conflicting concepts there. One of them is that, okay, Hillary Clinton might be ahead in the polls, but people just don't want to tell pollsters that they really want to vote for Donald Trump. That's the one thing is that, well, as badly slimed as Hillary Clinton's been, maybe there are people who don't want to tell the pollsters they want to vote for Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, I think what's actually far more likely, Paul, and I didn't mention this because it wasn't in the article, and I intended to. I had it in my head, and it just kind of went into space, you know, with the you get into the scrum of stuff. Is that I'm concerned that a lot of these polls are sampling past voters, historic voters, probable voters. You know, they're basically going back to the same old database. And that if Trump is really emphatic in his anti-TPP message and his anti-trade message, he, you know, again, this is something that I get from talking to friends back in you know, that I grew up with in Michigan, that he's going to be bringing in people who, you know, may have been registered to vote for the last decade, but haven't bothered to participate in the political process because they figured, hey, we're screwed. And then on top of that, he's going to be bringing in the David Duke vote, you know, the white racist vote. He's going to bring in the xenophobe vote. He's going to bring in the frightened vote. The, oh my God, you know, I mean, he's running ads right now saying Hillary Clinton wants to fill our country with Syrian refugees. Rush Limbaugh is going off on lesbian farmers. We're going to talk about that in our third hour. But basically, this whole culture wars thing, and those people are. I don't think those people are being polled.
Well, but wait a minute. If in fact a majority of people in 50 elections, we're talking 50 elections because of 50 states, vote for Donald Trump, and this is a real thing, and I can get into why I believe, I really have come to the conclusion that I believe in the Electoral College and not a majority, not the
majority rules.
What do we call it?
Yeah.
Yeah. If that happens, Tom, that's worth defending because that's the way our democracy works. I may not like that, but that's a different result than the media getting Donald Trump elected. The result is the result. If we're going to defend this country and say that, yeah, the people have a right to make in this country, this free country, you have a right to make decisions, even bad ones, we have to defend that. Now, if the media is making the decisions, then, like I said, the country's already a failed state. So, you know, that's where I'm getting the conflicting notions here is that if Donald Trump truly gets because the way elections are stolen, Tom, is in close elections, like in 2000, you pick on one state that will tip the balance.
Right.
That's why you got to have 50 elections and not a simple majority, because I use this analogy. I'll do it quickly. Let's say it's the World Series, Yankees versus the Dodgers. The Yankees win in 4 out of 5 games. In the first game, the Dodgers won 5-0. But the next 4, the Yankees won 1-0, 2-1, 3-2, and 4-3. Guess who has more runs in that series? The Dodgers.
Right.
But the Yankees won 4 in a row and won the series. So that's why you got to have 50 elections. These are like 50 different ball games. And if we don't have that, if that's really what happens, if Donald Trump could really win 50 states, then I guess he's the president. And if that's worth defending, even though I don't like it. And that's the thing that the Trump people and the Republicans hate. They want their way. Ends justifies the means. My way is, okay, if we lose, we lose. That's the way it is. Listen, that's what happened to Bernie Sanders. Bernie lost, I wanted Bernie, but he didn't win.
Right.
And I don't think it was rigged, regardless of what the WikiLeaks emails about the DNC are. Nothing was corrupted. There's problems.
Well, I think there was significant media corruption there, Paul. And now you can make the argument that this was not, you know, the media executives sitting around saying, oh, my God, we don't want a socialist running this country because it'll be bad for business. And so we're going to ignore him for the first 6 months. Instead, it was executives sitting around saying this guy has, you know, as much of a chance of winning as Gary Johnson does. So we're going to give him just as much coverage, which is 0, you know, or very, very little, or Jill Stein, for that matter, who got very, very little coverage in the first 6 months. But
he
Bernie
still
was
won 22
ignored.
States.
I'm sorry?
He still won 22 states. So,
Yeah.
that's not actually a rigged election. He won 22 states, including my state.
So, we're in the weeds here, Paul. We have less than a minute left. What's the net of what you're saying?
Well, I have more confidence in the other. I guess we're talking about this, that we're talking about the educated voter. I have to say the voter is more educated now than pretty much any time in our history. If you go back to times when people had no education, couldn't even read, we weren't talking about
But by and large,
the elections being
the people
corrupted.
who couldn't read were also not voting.
Okay, but so you're saying that people are voting with not the proper amount of knowledge? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying people are voting with bad knowledge. It's not just misinformation; it's malinformation. Pardon?
People go to the polls with the knowledge they have, whether it's mine or yours meets my or yours.
I understand that, but the job of media should be to provide people with the knowledge necessary to make an informed choice based on the realities of the candidates, rather than the personality defects or whatever. Paul, thanks for the call.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann.